Sports family, good evening and welcome to the show. We got NFL Wildcard Weekend Pick 'em. A lot has happened over the last 48 hours in regard to the NFL. Lots of moves being made on coaching staffs. Obviously, we've got some players that are going to be out for the matchups coming up this weekend. Tons of weather rolling in too, which is going to make things interesting. Should be a great show. Gentlemen, how we doing today? What up?
Doing good, man. How are you guys doing?
What up? What up? Doing all right.
Todd, all good in the hood over there?
I'm good, baby.
All right.
I'm good.
All right, fantastic. All right, well, without further ado, we do have a champion. We have a champion, and it is a new champion.
Yeah.
Who might that be?
Coming in last place, no shock, myself. Took an absolute nosedive the last 2 weeks of the season. Came in at 169 and 103. Todd came in third, 171 and 91. Corey, heartbreaker, 175 and 97. Aaron taking the dub, 176 and 96. One game. Dude,
Let's go.
speech.
You know,
Well, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So much you can do in a week 18 scenario. You know, you try and put your best foot forward, and they almost got him. Chargers almost fucking won that football game.
Yeah, they did. It took a stoic drive by Blaine Gabbert to get him into field goal range there.
Yeah.
this really is like the scene from Zoolander where Corey thinks he won. He's like, I got this.
No. Oh, you wanted the winner to talk.
What's up, Joe?
Sorry.
No, I mean, it was a whole season event, man. That's fun. I love. I mean, it's a great way to kind of keep tabs on the season throughout the year. I'm happy to come out on top, but it came down to the end, and I said, ironically, if the Chargers were to actually beat me after all of these years of believing in them, the irony, the pain I would feel.
Right.
So I'm, shout out Blaine Gabbert.
Who would have thunk you'd be giving him a shout out in week 18?
Also,
Seal the deal.
anyone out there that's doing fantasy football week 18, this is why you don't do that.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Bobby, why was your league playing last week?
Quit that league. Just quit it.
Well, it's because we had a commissioner who wasn't really commissioning. So
Yeah, you should quit that league.
yeah, I won't be in it next year. If I am, I'm gonna run it. I'm not gonna let some other person run it because that was just pure
quit
shenanigans.
it.
I did end up winning.
wrong with
I
us?
won.
Just
I got my first championship in fantasy football. But
chat. We're thinking of starting up a Rally Towel Dynasty League. If you're in, let us know.
yeah, that would be wild. I've never done a dynasty league, but I'd be here for it.
That's fun.
I'm still, I wasn't here last week. Apologize that I wasn't here, chat. I'm still upset that I didn't get credit for the Lions Cowboys game last week. I feel like I should have gotten at least credit for that as well, but it is what it is.
Okay, so you do. What does that make the records?
I mean, I still lose, but
It's fair.
I wasn't here to lobby my
But
point.
good job.
A good job, little buddy.
Fuck all of you. All right. Well, before we dive into the wild card matchups this week, let's talk about some of the teams that are not in, i.e. the Titans and the Seahawks. Probably two of the biggest teams to make some coaching changes that none of us really anticipated. So, Todd, I'll throw it to you first. Which one's more of a shock? Vrabel out in Tennessee or Pete Carroll out of Seattle?
I think you have to say Pete Carroll, right? It just sounds like that the direction that Seattle's going in, because he was moved into an advisor role. And if you guys remember a couple of years ago, that's exactly what happened to Bruce Arians as well. And I believe that's what the Broncos did with Elway when they made the change in ownership as well. So I think it's just it's a directional change for the organization, but they don't, you don't want to lose someone like Pete Carroll in that within Seattle and make those, make a drastic change. But I think there's gears moving in Seattle that we're just not aware of, that, it's just a matter of there's somebody out there that they really want. And the only way that they can get that individual is if Pete Carroll is no longer the head coach. So, if I'm a betting man, just based on who's available and who's on the top tier of those lists, I'm assuming that's Dan Quinn's job for the taking, seeing as how he was on that coaching staff during the Legion of Boom era. He's one of the most sought after coordinators to head coaches in this offseason. And to me, that makes the most sense. But there's certainly plenty of names out there that we could throw out that would be a good fit in Seattle as well.
Absolutely. Corey, you got any thoughts?
Yeah,
Bruce, what up, baby?
Ben Johnson makes a ton of sense in Seattle as well. He's going to get a head coaching job, offense coordinator for the Lions. Got my Honolulu blue and silver on tonight, representing the Homestead. But yeah, I think I don't know if I would want Dan Quinn, but I get what you're saying, Todd. Like make like Seattle man kind of deal.
Yeah.
Vrabel doesn't. I don't understand what the fuck they're doing in Tennessee anymore. Last couple of seasons, I don't know what they've been doing.
Yeah. I think it's the volcano, right? They're just letting the volcano erupt, and they're just gonna hope for the best.
Yeah, I don't know what the direction there is. I mean, Will Levis surprised, but didn't set the world on fire by any stretch of the imagination. Derrick Henry's gone. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on there, man.
No wide receivers there either.
How did I know that was
Right.
going to be Tez's first comment? What up, Tez? Congrats, big dog.
All right, so question: who did it better? Who did it better? The Houston Astros or the Michigan Wolverines? Who did it better?
That's where cheaters go to win, man.
Dude, yeah, congratulations. Congratulations.
No, I mean, they obviously played the better game.
Was I the only one that took Michigan?
Yeah, but we were under the impression that was the jinx of it. I really thought Michigan was.
Yeah.
I really thought the Chiefs were going to win. So
Fair enough.
Just trying to sway the winds back. I would have loved to have seen Michael Penix walk out of there with a natty.
he played like shit.
He did. He had a lot of errant throws. I read something after that game that he had a fractured rib that he sustained in the third quarter and played with it. Thought that was a pretty interesting thing to just stick him out there. And their running back was basically on one leg.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first half, there was 3 plays where Michael Penix Jr. either overthrew or just completely missed a wide receiver that would have resulted in a touchdown. So,
Drops too. A
yeah.
lot of drops. But no, up here in Michigan, it's exhausting living with these fucking people. Dude, they're honestly, like Ohio State fans hate them. Can't stand Ohio State fans. Michigan fans, guess what? You're the same person. Like, you guys are the exact same people. It's
usually how it works.
And the worst thing is like, just like you cheat, like admit you cheated though. Like, just be like, yeah, we played dirty and we won. Like, I'd have so much more respect. But like, oh, like we didn't do it. Like, shut the fuck. Yes, you did. Your coach got suspended twice for 2 different things. Just like, I can't stand it.
I kind of have a bold take here of just anybody who is like a rabid fan, which we all are for certain teams, are the worst.
Oh, yeah.
And now couple it with the fact if you're not in that group and now you have to live amongst them, 10 times worse.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I think that's really what it comes down to.
I
Yeah.
don't think that's a hot take. I think it's a fair take. But
Yeah, you're
Carb,
right.
what up, baby?
Bringing
Mom,
the
what's
heat
going on?
tonight,
Hello,
boys.
hello.
No, tons of my employees are big Michigan fans.
And I'm
And
good. That's fine.
okay,
They're allowed
yeah,
to be.
where'd you I just like, yo, you went to Eastern, right? All right, just checking.
Right. I was talking about it on a work call today, and it was like the same thing. I'm like, I root for Bowling Green, and I lose no sleep over when Ohio State loses.
Yeah.
You're like, cool, they won. Dope.
I went to the swamp in Bowling Green gear.
Yeah, that's respect. That's respect.
You know why? Thousands of dollars. That's why.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we kind of dive into the wild card weekend?
Nick Saban retired.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
Yeah, big news.
That's
Big news in the
monster.
college world. That's
How much is this? He's old. It's kind of the same thing with Pete Carroll, where it's like, now granted, if you gave me a physical and Pete Carroll a physical and probably Nick Saban, they'd be like, they're in better health than you. And I can like, I don't think it's so much their health.
Dude, I'm putting down a king size pack of peanut M&M.
Yeah. Pete Carroll's unloading balls at training camp, just like 40-yard zingers.
Do you think him retiring has anything to do with the way that they're going to be restructuring the college football playoff or the NIL?
That's kind of where I was going to go with it. Is I think you're seeing it in college basketball as well. You know, you're going to see these guys that are like the older school just be burnt out from this, because it's like you have all of the money to retire. It's like, do you want to learn how to use this computer, or do you want to retire? That's what I'm saying. Like, they have nothing left to prove. Do you want to learn a whole new way of doing it? Like,
think about before, like being at Alabama, winning national championships was enough to garner at least a half a dozen 5-star recruits, if not more, every single year. But these guys look at the transfer portal in general. These guys are transferring for money. It's not about the school anymore. It's about money. Like Cameron Ward, for example, the quarterback from Washington State that ended up declaring for the draft. He wanted $4 million to transfer to another school. I think Nick Saban just said, fuck it, I'm tired of dealing with this shit. I can't think about how I grade a college athlete based on monetary value. He's always just allowed the boosters in Tuscaloosa to take care of that for him. They had the money to get these guys in and around, but now they have to be, and they almost have everything. Everything before was always an interview right? But now everything is
sales pitch.
It's like, exactly. Yeah. It's like taking a cold call, and the first thing that the person asks you on the other line is like, well, how much money are we talking? Right. So, that's the first thing that's on the table for all these kids now, or all these young athletes now, is just money.
The biggest thing is that it's a completely restructuring the model in which you build a program, right? The Saban model, the Sweeney or the Dabo Sweeney model, whatever, all of these models, they are changed now to where it used to be Alabama became Alabama because Saban was the best recruiter, right? Florida became Florida because Urban was the best recruiter, and Ohio State and Michigan became where they're at now because Jim Harbaugh is an effective recruiter, and you're able to just reload every year. You've got new crop just coming in every single year, laying in wait, waiting for their turn, sitting two years, unless you're an elite talent at your position, and then your junior year is when you're playing.
Right.
And then your senior year, you're getting your second run around to demonstrate what you can do at the pros. And it's just, you've got rows of crops ready to come in for harvest every single year. And that's what allows you to just come in and just be dominant. Well, now you've got the number one left tackle, 5-star left tackle in the country going where? To a 4-8 program. He's going to the University of Colorado, or Colorado University, with Deion Sanders. That's where he's going. The number one left tackle in the country is not going to Alabama. He's not going to Clemson. He's not going to LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan. None of that.
Yeah, that one doesn't track as much, though, because
he's going to Colorado.
People are like, I'm going to go play for Deion Sanders.
Right. Why, though? Why? It's not because Deion Sanders is a better coach. It's not because Colorado is a better program.
It's cool. It's because it's cool.
Exactly.
And that's fine.
No, that's the argument I'm making, is that the recruiting platform is that now. That's recruiting now. Recruiting is not, we're building something special here. Recruiting is, this is going to be the coolest 3 years of your life. Jump on.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that as a pitch, though.
I'm fine with it. For the record, I don't give a fuck what it is. Whatever. Like,
I think we've completely overcorrected. So, like, I have always been on the opinion that college football players should have the ability to make money while they're in college. Now, I don't think that needed to be free agency. I always thought, if Bo Nix wants to go down to Eugene Chevrolet and spend his entire afternoon signing autographs, and people are willing to pay $100 a pop for it, he should have every right to do that. And I think that's what it needed to be. And now it's just become floodgates open.
I don't
know how you bring it back, because at this point it's like, well, why were they able to make this and I'm not?
Well, all of this comes down to this was all happening before, but now you could just call it a coalition, and then the coalition can be. What are you shaking your head no at? It absolutely
it wasn't transfers weren't happening at this rate.
No, but what I'm saying
that's two different conversations, though.
Yeah, the transfer portal and the NIL, that's two totally different things.
Yeah, but
and
they're tied. They're tied.
I agree. But the transfer portal, or because people could transfer, you have to sit out a year. But I still thought that there should have been more flexibility than that. And again, we've way overcorrected. If you're recruited by a head coach who goes to take a promotion or get a job somewhere else, if you were recruited by that coach, you should be immediately allowed to leave.
Yep.
Because if the coaches are allowed that much movement, I think the players should be afforded that. Outside of that, I think you could have kept it the same.
Yeah, I don't.
And any other situation, like the Justin Fields one when he was in Georgia, go to Ohio State, there was like whole
six other fucking quarterbacks or something.
Well, there was that, but he also had there's some. I don't want to go into detail because I don't know it all, but there was somebody called him like the N-word on the baseball team, and he was like, "I'm leaving," and it was like a case thing. So, and again, those type of situations, obviously, you don't have to change much, but the transfer portal is out of control.
Yeah, I think maybe just putting a limit on how many times you can transfer, and the only time
they've done that now. That's happening now. So it's as an undergraduate student, you only are allowed one transfer, barring any extenuating circumstance, kind of like what Aaron just brought
such
up.
as
And
your
then
coach leaving or something like that.
Yeah. So then a graduate student can transfer again, right? So that's why all these like the quarterback from Kansas State going to Ohio State and DJ Ugalele going to Florida State. These guys get to go one more time because of being a graduate student, because it's technically a different type of scholarship athlete.
Yeah, that plays for me. I'm cool with
that.
I'm cool with that level of movement. Yeah.
Well, but before, look at like the wide receiver from North Carolina. The reason and the NCAA held him out for a certain amount of time because they didn't know if they wanted to declare him eligible, because in 4 years he went to 4 different schools. It's the same thing with Emory Jones that went to Florida, then he went to Arizona State, and then he went to UC in 4 years. And now he gets to transfer again because he's a graduate student, but they're trying to alleviate just the bouncing from school to school because they want to at least – because this impacts scholarships across the whole university, right? And every school knows that their moneymaker is football. No one is stupid to that.
Yeah.
But when you bounce scholarships so frequently and money changes hands so frequently, it impacts the way that the university can trickle down into the smaller sports and being able to pass those funds out because of the money earned from football. Yes, most of it goes back into the football program, but Ohio State is funding all of their women's sports off of football. That's it. Right. That's what they use the money from, because the rest of the money comes from boosters and boosters to the university to pay for the football program. So now what the NIL has done is they've transitioned this money that they were funneling through the boosters before to athletes. Now it's just something up front. Like, look at Marvin Harrison Jr., for example. All of the coalitions and groups in Columbus were willing to put together $25 million for him to come back next year. $25 million for one student athlete. Travion Henderson is coming back to Ohio State because he will make $6 million next year at Ohio State. He will not.
I thought I saw somewhere that Marvin Harrison Jr. is returning to Ohio State.
He has not said either way yet, but that's what I'm saying. That's on the table for him.
I don't know how you return when your draft stock is never going to be higher.
No, he won't be. He won't be a top 3 pick next year. He's a top 3 pick this year because of what the draft class is. This is a offensive tackle laden draft class with a couple of quarterbacks. That's really it.
Yeah, but the quarterbacks
this draft class is pretty deep, though. This is a pretty deep draft. Like, this is
for what positions besides?
I just think
wide receiver and tackle.
I think generally speaking, there are a lot of top tier talented players that are coming into the draft this year. Overall, not just any specific position. Not just quarterback. I think that this draft we're probably going to see better players in this draft than we saw in the last draft, and maybe even the draft before that.
Well, I would say 2 years ago was much worse than even last year. So
I agreed. Yeah. I think this is the best draft that we're going to have in the last 3 years.
Yeah, but I think if he comes,
bar isn't very high, but yeah.
But if he comes out, if he waits another year, there's 19 receivers that are of a very similar caliber to him that are coming out next year too. So I think this is his best opportunity, because a lot of teams after this year too will likely draft their quarterback or have re-signed their quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years. So these next draft class, this is his best opportunity. If he doesn't take this win, it's just like Justin Herbert could have been drafted first and he got drafted 5th. Right. I think this is kind of the same window for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Maybe he just doesn't want to go to the Cardinals.
Sure.
Maybe, but all right. Well, let's get into the games this week. Speaking of quarterbacks and a team that actually found their guy, we got the Texans.
Chat, don't worry, we're gonna get to you, baby. Don't worry.
We're gonna get there in a second. But Texans at home against the Browns. This Browns team has been just unbelievable this year. How many different quarterbacks, Aaron? 4, 5?
5, 4 winners.
4 winners, but yeah, 5 different quarterbacks. The ever ageless Joe Flacco on his couch about a month ago is now playing in a wild card playoff game. Unbelievable. We'll let you follow up last, Aaron. We'll let you kind of have the floor. I'll give it to the guys over here. We'll take our pick, and then you can do your thing. Todd, lead us off. Browns on the road, Houston.
Yeah. Shout out to the NFL for putting the first game of the weekend, making it probably this.
Sorry, one more thing before we get into it. I forgot to go over the chat overall on the picks. So regular season winner for the chat was Josh. Well done.
Good job, Josh.
Winning percentage of 62.05%. Tez, you were 2 games behind, 61.16%. And Pops, you finished at 59.68. So well done to all of you guys. All right, Todd, back to you.
Yeah, so I was just going to say shout out to the NFL for putting the second best game as the first game of the weekend. I think it's a good tempo setter for playoff football. Throw anything that happened during the regular season out between the Texans and the Browns, because that was the 22 points that Houston scored does not warrant the clobbering that they took when they played the Browns just a few weeks ago. Fellas, this is probably my biggest coin flip of the weekend in terms of how I want to pick this game, because I could make an argument right now, and I still am not 100% certain. So I'm going to talk my way through it, and then I'll make a pick here. So
great way to start.
Thank you. So I watched CJ Stroud do exactly what he had to do to beat Indianapolis in a game where I don't really expect a rookie quarterback to be able to just kind of throw 52 people on his back and lead him to victory. He did that. But also this is a top 2 defense in the NFL that he's going to be facing. Boys, this is hairy, because I think that the Texans have shown me this year, outside of just player wise, is that coaching wise, is that they plan very well for who they're playing week over week. And I think that DeMeco Ryans is going to have something drawn up for this Browns offense that at least slows them down. And I think where Cleveland has made a good majority of their money on being able to score is getting good field position. And CJ Stroud's not a guy that just gives the ball up a lot. He's not going to turn the ball over like some of these other teams that the Browns have faced in the last few weeks. So I'm going to start the week. I'm taking the Texans at home, boys. Taking the Texans at home.
Corey.
Aaron, give me a quick snapshot here. How's Miles looking? He's just got a rest today, or what?
Oh yeah, he's
okay.
He's full system.
What about Kareem?
Full systems go.
Amari?
Yeah, might be a little limited, but he'll be playing.
Okay. Everybody's good.
Everybody's good. Honestly, one of the biggest pieces is it doesn't look like Hopkins is going to be available to kick. You have a dome situation though, and the guy that we've brought in has been fine.
Yeah. Todd, I was pretty close to taking Houston on this one. But I'm going to go with the Browns here. And just that they're going to be able to play their game, I think. Being on the road, again, the defense is going to be what carries this team throughout the playoffs. And Joe Flacco not fucking up, basically, is what has to happen. I don't think Joe Flacco needs to go out and win the game. I think that they can put themselves in a position with Njoku. He's all right, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's fine.
Okay, because I thought he got a little banged up last week.
He
but-
didn't play. We rested everybody.
Oh, okay. There was something, or it was the week prior. Maybe I saw that he had taken something or something like that. Anyway, but no, with Njoku and Amari, the way that Flacco's been able to distribute the ball to them, the way the defense has been playing, it's a coin flip for sure. Like if the Texans win this game, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud continues to defy what we think makes sense. But I'm going to go with veteran playoff caliber play, and I'm going to go with somebody who's been there, and I'm going to take Joe Flacco and the Browns to win their second playoff game in 30 years. Is it something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, they're
Something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me the Brownies on the road.
Yeah, this is a tough one, man. But when it comes down to playoff time, I've got to lean towards the defense, and a healthy Myles Garrett is just I have to roll with the Browns here. I think Joe Flacco, he's great. He hasn't been great with his ball security. He's getting better as the weeks have progressed, and he's gotten a little bit more comfortable with the offense. It's going to be absolutely paramount in this matchup. Who can hold on to the ball, who's going to limit turnovers. But at the end of the day, I have to go with the team that has the more consistent defense, because offensively, I think they're pretty even for the most part. I think they can each put up a good amount of points. But Cleveland, that defense, I gotta roll with the Browns.
One thing that you just kind of alluded to there, Bobby, that kind of made me think of another thing. The way that the way the Texans do win this game is getting to Joe Flacco.
Absolutely.
Is exposing that
they have to pressure him.
putting a hat on Joe Flacco. The Browns are a little thin at offensive line right now, to say the least. So, being able to expose that, and the Texans aren't a slouch on the pass rush.
That's what I was going to say. So Will Anderson Jr., we didn't hear his name talked a lot about this year, but in the last 4 weeks with 4.5, and with 4.5 sacks in the last 4 weeks, and 1.5 of those being in the game that got them into the playoffs, and I think that's where I guess we're coming in. Where I think DeMeco Ryans' game plan is just that he's going to figure out a way to apply pressure immediately. But the problem is that when you play that six in the box and you get Amari Cooper one-on-one, that's dangerous. That's where you start running into some issues.
Absolutely. All right, Aaron, the floor is yours.
Yeah. I think everybody brings up some really good points, and I'm kind of on everybody's side here. I think talking it through last week, running through all of the playoff scenarios, this was my worst case scenario. Houston was the team that we had, it could have been the Colts, would have rather played them, and it should have been the Jaguars. And that's something we haven't really talked about, and I won't do that right now during my Browns speech here, but that's a team. I'm not second guessing this pick at all. CJ Stroud has been nothing short of phenomenal his rookie year. He's already arguably a top 7 quarterback in the league. I think he's playing, he's the no doubt offensive rookie of the year. Now, the thing here with the Texans, and of course this being at home makes it a little difficult. But you have a rookie head coach and you have a rookie quarterback, and the playoffs are going to be a little bit different than that regular season that they, played really well in, especially down the stretch. They struggled a little bit against good defenses, but a lot of the times we're still able to, win in those games. I wasn't super impressed with them against the Colts, though, outside of the first pass from CJ Stroud, which was, again, that's just, once he really gets it going, he's going to be scary here in about 2 or 3 years. I'm taking the Browns, of course, but part of it is, this team, most of the guys on this team actually were on that, team that beat Pittsburgh 3 years ago. You have a lot of guys still there. You have Kevin Stefanski. This isn't going to be his first, head coaching experience. Obviously, one of them was on the couch with COVID, if you remember that, but I'm not too worried about it. So everybody's getting that week off last week. I think Joe Flacco can match the chunk plays that CJ Stroud can also produce. This team has more experience. Texans are just a much younger team. And frankly, I think the Browns are the better team, but damn, this is the last, AFC team that we had available to us that I would have wanted to even, touch or go up against. So walking into this game, I want it to be known I have nothing but respect for the Houston Texans as a team. And if the Browns lose this game, I won't be surprised as if we played the Jaguars or the Colts. I would be surprised in that instance. I would really, really love the Joe Flacco versus Ravens second round. I think that would be really, really cool. There's a lot of interesting first round matchups that we have. You can even tie this to the Deshaun trade, of course. But there's a lot of unique, interesting matchups in the first round across everybody. So it's going to be really interesting. But no, Todd made great. Like Todd basically made all the points I would have made of why Texans can win this game.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the Deshaun thing. Like, isn't that crazy that he's like the highest guaranteed contract in NFL history, and we're not even. I mean, I know he's hurt, but it's just like he didn't even. I forgot he's on your team, to be honest.
Yeah. So, a couple stats too. The Browns are the first team to make the playoffs that started a different guy at quarterback, running back, left tackle, and right tackle from week one. This is going to be the fifth instance of a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback playing in the NFL playoffs. I believe they were like the sixth or seventh to win the division, but just thought this was interesting. Funny enough, the first to do it was John Harbaugh and Joe Flacco in the 2008 season. You've had Mike Smith and Matt Ryan do it.
I'll tell you, those NFL script writers got it down to a T, don't they?
Yeah. Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez, and then Chuck Pagano and Andrew Luck. So those are some names. And outside of take Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan out of there.
What's an AFC championship game, man? Like
they did.
Actually, reading. Yeah, of course. But
is that the butt fumble year?
No.
No,
but people generally regard them as bad at their jobs. Outside of the other four that I read, though, if this Texans team is going to be, making noise in the future, that's some pretty elite company to be up against if they were to win this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But top to bottom, the Browns roster should compete. I think Myles Garrett, with some rest, I think you're going to see him, I hope, put his stamp on, the
nice
NFL
matchup there with Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, who's actually been struggling a little bit.
Couple comments rolling into the chat over on Facebook, whatever platform you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're catching us. Make sure you drop a like, hit a follow, hit that share button.
Yeah,
we're here every Wednesday. Pop's coming in saying if the Browns win, and Joke will be the difference. I know we had mentioned the struggles that the Browns are having on the offensive line. That check down for them is going to be huge. So and he stepped up, I think more in the back half of the season once he finally got
say he's been the difference the last 2 months almost.
Yeah. I mean, he's been
3 weeks in a row of 100 yards right before the rest week, something like that.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, I mean he's finally playing like we all thought he was capable of. This was a guy that was regarded that we all thought he was going to be a monster, and he's finally starting to show it. And I'm sure Aaron's probably like about time, but.
Oh no! I just want to get to Tez's comment.
Yeah, so Tez saying everybody keeps talking about the Browns defense. They actually haven't been that great over the past 5 weeks, and didn't they just play the Texans a few weeks ago? Now, before Aaron gets into this, we did just talk about this prior to getting into this game, but Aaron, please dive.
Yeah, obviously Stroud wasn't a part of that game, so you really like Todd. I mean, you can throw it out completely. But no, the defense,
last week too.
Yeah, I mean, right. The defense has been phenomenal. Am I going to be mad that the second strings gave up 31 points to the Bengals? No, not really at all. The Jets game, they were up so much, you kind of just, they still like in the moments of that game really fucking played phenomenal. Obviously, the Texans game again, throw it out, but go up so big, and then the Bears game, 17 points. That's good on its own. 2 interceptions within the 10, like they got the ball on offense at like the 10-yard line, the only times they scored touchdowns. So no, the defense has been great.
Yeah. I think there's just a lot of context that's there. And I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, when the defense gets put in situations where they're in the red zone on the first drive, what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
They're gonna be giving up points most likely.
So
whether it's 3 or whether it's 7. Go ahead.
Speaking of rushing or red zone defense, one very, very interesting statistic here. The Browns are, through Week 18, the best defense in the National Football League, followed by the Chiefs. The Browns, through Week 18, are the worst red zone defense in the NFL. Crazy. That's a crazy paradox. Like, that's bizarre.
So outside the red zone, they're the best. Inside the red zone, they're the worst.
They are giving up the scoring efficiency, the red zone touchdown rate, rather, against the Browns is 71.4%.
And I would argue, if I could dive deeper into those stats.
Well, you don't get there. No. I know exactly where you're going with this.
Most of those possessions, I would guess, are not on the doing of the defense.
So
because they did such a good job
the red zone.
No, they did such a good job on their own keeping teams out of the red zone.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, you don't get the first statistic I mentioned, being best defense in the NFL, by allowing a lot of touchdowns. So
I believe they let. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's just that you get to the red zone. You don't get to the red zone very often.
The sample size, the window of opportunity is way smaller. But when you get to that, when you get inside the window, you're there.
They led the league in 3 and outs as well.
Yeah, I think he wants to know what those stats are for his Rams.
For your Rams, Tez are the 20th ranked defense in the NFL in terms of their red zone defense. Your Rams are 15th in the league. Giving up touchdown 54.2%.
No, I think he's saying because the Rams beat the Browns, right? Is that what he's alluding to?
Oh, okay.
That was like week 13 or 14 when they beat the Browns.
Yeah, it was like Flacco's first.
Something like that. Something like that. We can dive into that.
It's a fresh new season now. So
yeah, this is a brand new season starting today. It just happens to be 4 weeks long.
All we can do is look at the statistics that we have been given us to support anything that we're going to make claims on. But a lot of new things happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, and if I'm splitting hairs here, it's not the yard differential in that game between the Rams and the Browns is about a half a yard per play. So couple that with the Browns having 2 turnovers, both being inside the 35-yard line. So
interesting.
Just little tidbits. So I'm a believer that sometimes the score doesn't always reflect the what the actual outcome or like what the end game looks like. 36 points is a lot, but they got the ball across the 50 a lot.
And then also the stat sheet doesn't always reflect like the eye test and like what you're actually watching versus what's on paper. That's a a conversation we've had multiple times throughout the season on how does it look versus what do the stats say. I think that's obviously there's going to be a lot of discussion regarding that when it comes to the Defensive Player of the Year statistics versus the eye test. So.
I don't know if you
beautiful segue into the next game, by the way.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, speaking of that, we've got one of the worst weather-related games in NFL history happening on Saturday night. It is supposed to be negative 10 degrees, I believe, snowing. It's just going to be absolutely brutal in Arrowhead. Absolutely brutal. The Dolphins. Heading into Arrowhead, this is literally fish out of water. This is territory that they are not comfortable with.
It's a mammal.
Yeah, but yeah, we got the Dolphins headed to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, and this is not going to be an easy game to pick because in games like this where weather is a factor, anything can happen. Anything can happen, but Dolphins are really banged up on the defensive side. I know they're missing a lot of key players, and they took some hits, going into the back half of the like last 4 weeks. They lost Bradley Chubb. Andrew Van Ginkel's not going to play. He stepped in for who was the guy that tore his Achilles?
Jalen Phillips.
Yeah. So
they just signed Justin Houston today.
They did.
Did they sign Melvin Ingram as well?
Did they? Wow.
Yeah. So this is gonna be a tough one. Corey, do you want to lead this one off?
Sure. It's not Charlie making a comment. Worse than the Freezer Bowl.
Nope.
It's not. It's like negative 45, I think.
It was negative 59 at the peak during the Freezer Bowl.
Yeah,
Holy
but still
shit.
very, very, very cold.
There's a couple
And,
guys being dudes out there playing football.
Yeah,
people were
just
still
fly 'em to
people still
Antarctica.
didn't have their fucking shirts on in that game.
and every guy that is Charlie's
Insanity.
age, which is also my dad's age, they all claim to have been at that game. If you live in Cincinnati,
Yeah, that's all right.
my uncle is one of those guys. But beer froze before I got back to my seat. So yeah, this game is. Listen, everybody's dealing with injuries. Like Aaron can tell you all about that. So I'm not going to use it as an excuse for anybody. I'm not making it an excuse for why my team's not in the playoffs. They're just not. So I'm not going to make any excuses for Miami. I think they're going to get quote unquote exposed here. I think you're going to see a better coach. You're going to see Mike McDaniel get out coached. You're going to see Miami be what they are, which is a regular season wonder. They're really good at the beginning of the season. Came out really flashy, but that it's not sustainable. Their type of offense, their type of game plan, it isn't. It worked really good for the greatest show on turf. It's not working really good for Miami over the last couple of years. The Chiefs haven't been anything for me to be like, wow, these guys are the Super Bowl contenders. But they're at home and it's the playoffs and it's still Patrick Mahomes. And while they leave a lot to be desired most times that they line up, do the Chiefs. I got to think the week of rest is going to do them well. They sat pretty much everybody last week against the Chargers. They had to put in Joe Thuney when a backup lineman went down. So that's one of the starters that actually did get some playing time last week. And I think the Chiefs are going to come in with a good game plan ready to go, and they're going to take care of business at home. Give me Kansas City.
Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Chiefs have been they were the team that I was purely expecting to get upset week one. Like they have been a terrible football team. And again, the way that this schedule broke with the Jaguars doing what they did, and obviously Miami, being in the driver's seat. And again, Corey, I'm not going to make those excuses for them either. Obviously they're banged up. Everybody's banged up. You can't lose to the Titans in that game when you're in the driver's seat to win the division. Week 18 shouldn't have mattered. You should have been able to rest your guys and not have to worry about who's healthy and who's not.
Yeah.
With that being said, read me off the weather to this one again, Bobby. It's going to be cold.
-1 is just the base temperature.
Yeah, wind chill is -10.
Yeah.
Snow, wind.
So the Chiefs are favored 4.5 in this one, and their offense has been fucking terrible. And their defense has been pretty good. They've actually saved them and kept them in some games.
Top 2 defense, right? That's what Corey just said.
Yeah,
boys, if the weather's going to be like this, I'm just going to take a flyer on the Dolphins. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the defense doesn't need help in the weather.
Don't steal my points, Aaron.
They're going to it's going to be weird, it's going to be wild, it's going to be stupid. The Chiefs offense, Corey, I agree, the rest is going to help them. It's not going to help their receivers finally learn how to catch balls, and the weather certainly isn't going to help in that regard. And really all you need is just a weird couple plays. I'm just taking a flyer on this.
Yeah, no, and I totally get that. And the offense for the Chiefs, it's not going to be the receivers that win in this game. It's going to be Isaiah Pacheco who's going to win in this game. He's going to have
100%,
120 on the ground. Like that. That's the key.
But the key for the Chiefs in general for this lackluster Chiefs team was you're like, all right, well, when like as I said with the LeBron James when he gets to the playoffs, right? Like the regular season, throw it out. Who cares? We slept walk through it. He's the 4 seed. He makes his way to the finals, right? That's the argument from Mahomes.
Yeah.
Turn the playoffs on. This is a bad first game for them to turn it on.
Sure.
I think you're going to get some weird shit in this. And
if this is Buffalo, it's not even a question. Like the Bills run over the Chiefs, but the Dolphins have lost like 3 of their last 5 games or something like that. Like they don't look good either.
No,
yeah.
No, they don't. I'm not saying they do.
Yeah, these are 2 very coin flippy games for sure.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and start here, or at least dovetail off of what Aaron was having to say. I like the Dolphins running game more than I like the Chiefs. I like that 2-headed monster down there in Miami. And I think it's going to transition well to a game where that's going to be extremely run heavy. Granted, they have Isaiah Pacheco in KC, but after him, there's really not a lot of pop after him. You've got Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. They've been a absolute two-headed monster this entire season. If anybody had them on their fantasy teams, you know all about them. So I'm also going to roll with the Dolphins here just because I don't like what I've seen from the Chiefs pretty much the entire season. It's inconsistent. If they have to throw the ball, you can't really rely on anybody. You've got Travis Kelce dropping passes. It's bad news bears on that offense. Something's not clicking. Something's not clicking in KC, and I think this is a year where they actually don't pull the trigger and make it out of the first round. So taking the Dolphins.
Hope you're right.
Todd.
Yeah, so for all the reasons that you just said that you're going to take the Dolphins, I'm going to take the Chiefs because the Dolphins defense blows, boys. It's not good. So regardless of who you're handing the ball off to, if you're KC, there's no pressure on the offensive line. And Kansas City has a top 8 offensive line in the league. So if you are going to run the ball 35 times and say it's got to be either Pacheco or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm taking the offensive line that can move, that can push the boys off the ball more than 2 flashy running backs in the backfield. Because again, Corey said this is a top 2 defense. This is a top 5 rush defense in the league in Kansas City, and Miami's offensive line has shown holes. They're missing. They have injuries on that offensive line. They're finally getting their center back for this game, but they're still missing their starting right guard. We're talking about a game that's going to be like 10-3. Like we're trying to reinvent the wheel here. It's just going to be 1 touchdown, right? Someone's going to turn the ball over because their hands are fucking cold. It's going to be on the 18-yard line somewhere in that ballpark, and it takes 6 plays to run it into the end zone. That's it. That's this game.
Like, can we not, like, we should talk also about the fact that, like, Kansas City is going to have the advantage on their sideline in terms of preparations, gear, warming technology, all of those things. Being at home is huge here. Like, you think Kansas City's putting heaters on the Dolphins sideline? Not a fucking chance.
Yes, I do.
Nope. There's no way that's happening. There's no way. The Dolphins are going to be responsible for making that happen. So if it happens, it's not because of the Hunt family is being generous.
I don't think the Dolphins staff is going to forget about the fact that
no, but the point remains in that the same way that when you play a game in Miami, there's shade technology that exists for the Dolphins that don't exist for the visiting team. There's just going to be inherent advantages about being at home and being able to prepare and stay warm in these conditions that we're going to be facing.
And don't forget, fellas, you gotta tune in on Peacock here.
This is stupid as fuck. This is the dumbest fucking thing. So I'm not watching it, by the way. I'm not going to watch it.
I'm not either.
I'm going to boycott.
It's quite the L from the NFL here doing this Peacock thing, especially in the playoffs. It feels like a real shitstorm of brewing with NBC.
If you have Sunday Ticket, do you get access? I wonder.
I don't
know. It's Peacock only.
So it's fucking stupid. Well, I'll be doing Reddit, so you can follow me on Twitter. I'll drop a link on Twitter. I'm going to illegally stream this game.
Nice. Get them, boys.
Yeah, fuck that, dude. So fucking scary.
I mean, I have Peacock because I can't live without The Office. So
just buy it.
Just turn on Comedy Central, Bobby.
No, just buy The Office. Own it.
I mean, there's still some other good shows on there.
No, if you like what you like,
Yeah, you got the
love
Office,
is love.
You got Parks and Rec, like you
can
all
even
kinds
own
of
it
things you can
virtually.
cycle.
Like, I'm not saying like buy the discs. You can just own it on like Vudu, and then anytime you want to watch it, you just
True, but I don't. I have Peacock.
Yeah, or you could have someone else's login. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's nice. Actually, yeah. Anyone
I don't know if
share a login with me.
I don't know if I could share that across 3 different cities, but if I could,
look, I've already got a plug, so I'm good.
Bobby, it's asking me for your social.
What's your social? Yeah. What's the
555?
Yeah. What's the CVV on that credit card? Real quick.
Mother's maiden name.
Yeah.
Fucking wild. All right. Well, it's nice to see that we've got a little split there on that game. That should make it a little bit more interesting to watch.
I would like the record to show. I think the Chiefs win in a normal game. I think the Chiefs still win this game. I think it's just sloppy enough, though.
He's flying.
It could happen. It could happen.
It could happen.
All right. First game on the Sunday slate. We've got the Steelers taking things on the road to Buffalo.
Yeah, man. Tough one, buddy.
We drew a pretty bad card first round,
did.
especially
Worst
with
one you could draw.
especially
other
with
than the
especially with TJ Watt not playing. I mean, not that it would have made.
It would have made a difference.
I mean, it would have made a difference, but it still would have been an incredibly tough game.
So you're a double digit dog. I don't know if we need to necessarily go down and break down this game, but let's talk about the ways the Steelers absolutely can win this football game.
Yeah.
Josh Allen plays
Bad.
Dr. Jackal or Mr. Hyde, right? That's how he plays football. So you get the bad version, right? Mr. Hyde comes out to play is it Hyde Park, New York? Oh my God. So that, crazy things could happen here in Buffalo, and that's how it happens. Josh Allen turns the ball over a lot. The great thing that you do have going for you, Bob, is that I'm not super scared about the Bills' passing attack. I'd be more concerned about their ability to keep you kind of honest, in that you won't really be able to, like in years previous, I've been defending the Bills has been pretty easy. You don't need to stack the box to stop the run. You spy Josh Allen, you blanket Diggs, and you make him make tough throws, right? And make him turn the ball over. And that's how you beat Josh Allen. Now this season, their offense is kind of clicking in a point to where they're extremely balanced, which makes things very difficult. And they're just playing good football right now. The Bills outside of the Ravens, I think the Bills are playing the best football in the AFC. Defense, especially the Milano injury, we thought was going to cripple this team, and it did for a bit, about a month and a half, 2 months. This defense was out of sorts, but they have found a way to play good football together. Long shot, obviously, here, Bob.
For sure.
But I mean, crazier shit has happened. Also, I just want to go out on a limb and say DeMar Hamlin should not win Comeback Player of the Year. Just gonna go out and say that. Should be Joe Flacco. Just gonna be the dickhead and say that.
Yeah. So, look, I think you're just saying what people are thinking, and that's okay. You're just saying what people are thinking. I think if you walk up to somebody at work and you go, "Hey, what do you think about Comeback Player of the Year, DeMar Hamlin?" They'd be like, "Yeah, but have you seen Joe Flacco?" Or they might even say like, "Yeah, but look at the year Baker had." Right? That's happening. That's happening behind closed doors. It's just that people are scared because of a guy's heart stopped on the field. Yeah. People are like, "Oh wow, he played football again." I'm with you.
It's what you want the award to be.
Yeah.
We have the Walter Payton. That's the humanitarian.
Shout out Teddy K.
Yeah, sure. Take care.
Man of the year.
I am certainly not beating the drum on because it's one of those awards where you're like, if it's on your team, you're like, I don't really give a shit. Like that's cool.
It's cool when Joe got
it. Right. But what I'm saying is like, that's probably of all the awards to not win, you're like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
So I get it. And again, I think the way the NFL does their awards is very weird, just in general. It's like we haven't even talked about the NFL MVP race. It's just basically who won last week.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm sorry, guys. It should be Dak. Lamar should not be the odds-on favorite. We can get into it when we get to those teams.
I'm with you, but
I think it's ridiculous. He lost one game, and everyone was like, well, he's done for the year.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Lamar's season this year is so much worse than the season that he won the MVP.
I know.
This is Dak Prescott's best season ever. And they're like,
if you're going to give it to a quarterback, it's Dak. Like I don't even think it's either of them, to be honest with you. Let's
get into that here in a bit.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Bills. Corey already outlined all the reasons. Don't get me wrong. Yes, the Steelers can win this game. But I won't rehash all of that. I agree with everything.
Yeah. Also, I don't think Josh Allen has played that well.
He hasn't.
Like I keep seeing, and Charlie, I'm not trying to call you out here, but like I keep reading that comment over and over that Josh Allen's playing well, and he's not. I mean, like when
not playing bad.
He's playing better now than he was at the beginning of the season, but
he's still a touchdown to an interception.
It's still not the best version of Josh Allen we've seen.
Guys, I'm taking crazy pills. He's playing like Josh Allen. They're doing. They were shit at the beginning of the year. They're good now. He's still Josh Allen. He's just they're peaking.
I can't get behind any other thing but that he throws for every touchdown he throws an interception. That's what he's done. That's where he's basically where he's at right now. And is he good at making big plays? Yes, that's it. That's really the only thing I can give an accolade for.
His completion percentage last week was phenomenal. He was 30 or 35. You can't argue about that. What you can argue about is that, yes, he was responsible for 2 touchdowns, but he was also responsible for 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble loss. So, like that.
You take the good and the bad with him.
Yeah,
you don't win with
Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen.
You don't win without him, and you can lose because of him. That's who the Bills are.
That's good. Exactly what Corey said. Like turnovers. That's the one way that we win this game is forcing turnovers, giving short fields for Rudolph in that offense. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris absolutely have to come out of the gates.
Najee Harris with a sneaky 1,000-yard year.
Yeah, he's started his. He's still on a trajectory. He started his career with 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. That's nothing to scoff at. I know we were in the middle of the year saying Najee's not the guy, but for him to do that. He was not at the time, but I mean, for him to come back and have, a 1,000-yard season and put that together for, 3 straight seasons, it makes him, a case just being a viable starter in this league. So
it's insane what a competent offensive coordinator can do. For
I mean, I think him and Jalen Warren, that 1-2 punch in that backfield, that is just nasty.
It is good. It's good. You got to figure. You got two more years to keep that around, and then you got to make a decision.
And then obviously you've got the issue with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. That's
or Russell Wilson.
That's an issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, I meant going into this game. Like, there was like the media was
Pickett healthy.
Pickett's healthy. Pickett
he's the backup quarterback. He's a healthy backup quarterback.
But Rudolph is starting.
That's crazy.
Starting, so
he should be.
He should be.
And I agree. Mason Rudolph. I don't know what clicked, but we've never
Rudolph's
seen him
pulling overtime. It's January, baby.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, he's staying clocked in, whether or not he's on the field or not. But
I mean that's he's 180 shifted that offense.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I never thought that we'd be sitting here in Wildcard Weekend 1 talking about the Steelers, 2 talking about Mason Rudolph.
I mean,
amazing. We always talk about the Steelers.
Hold on.
We always talk about the Steelers Wildcard Weekend.
Well, I didn't think that we'd be here. If you had, I would have never put money on Pittsburgh to make the playoffs this year with the team that they were putting out on the field in this division. So, also big shout out to the AFC North best division football.
You picked them to make the playoffs. So hold on, let's call a spade a spade. You picked the Steelers to make the playoffs this year.
Did I?
You absolutely did.
Yeah, you locked her over. You were
you were high on the Steelers.
It was honestly it was awkward.
But here's also the thing. Let's pump the brakes on Mason Rudolph and all of this because yes, he looked great against the Bengals and he won that game and he played a good football game. Just pump the brakes on the long-term projections for this guy because what he did last week, throw that game away, throw it away. There's no one playing on the other side of the football. Let's just chill out a little bit.
No, I completely agree. I wasn't talking long term. I was just talking going into.
And I wasn't directed at you. I'm sorry. That was directed at the plural you, like let's all like
yins.
Yeah, yins. Just pump the brakes.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still taking the Bills. I will be very, very happy to be wrong, but it's there's gonna need to be a lot of things that go wrong for Buffalo in order for us to pull this game out. Now, circling back to the conversation that we were having about Dak Prescott. The Cowboys are taking on the Packers at home, and the Cowboys have notoriously struggled against Green Bay in the playoffs. This could be
Des Bryant game.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Aaron, lead us off. Packers on the road in Dallas. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the history when it comes to this. But again, the matchups we were talking before. So you got Tyreek Hill going back playing Kansas City. There isn't really much for, I guess, Steelers Bills other than geography. And then McCarthy and the Packers. There's a bunch of these storylines. So that's the interesting part to me. But man, it's the Cowboys. They're the better team. I don't care what history says. That means nothing. I think we overblow that stuff. It's just weird trends that happen. Nobody on these two teams were really involved in those games. Doesn't really make much of a difference. It's the same way every time they overblow teams playing, like, not to say the Chiefs Dolphins games when it's like, oh, the Dolphins are playing in snow. Like, everybody on the Chiefs team didn't play at some Southern school or anything.
Yeah,
right. Right. It makes no
from
sense.
Texas.
Yeah, right. Like, let's chill. Obviously, he's had a little bit more indoctrination into it, but yeah, the Cowboys are the better team. They're the better defense. Their offense is, CeeDee Lamb took the step this year into that, Jefferson, Chase Hill tier of receivers. I would be shocked if the Cowboys lose this game.
Yeah, I'll be right there with you. And let me put, I'll go ahead and I'll say it right now. If Jordan Love wins this game, I'll take him seriously. If Jordan Love wins this game, goes on the road, touchdown underdog, and wins this game, I have to take him seriously. There's no way I couldn't, right? Right?
What would you think of him in a close loss where he looks fine? Looks good.
You lost.
Okay.
So it's a win or nothing for you.
It has to be. That's football. That's sports in general, right?
All right, baby.
That's the goal of every season, is to win a Super Bowl. If the goal is not to win a Super Bowl, then
there's a lot of really bad players.
Then to hang it up. I don't know. That should be the goal of every team, is to win a Super Bowl.
Of course it should. Yeah.
All right. Well, then, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sure it wasn't the Carolina Panthers' goal this year.
Well, that's why they're fucking
hang them
where
up,
they are.
right?
That's where they are. That's why their coach is fired and their fucking owners throwing beers at people. Cowboys win.
Todd.
Yeah, sorry, my headphones died. I had a panic moment. My headphones died there. I didn't know what was going on. You guys I thought I went deaf for a minute. It's weird. Crazy thing happened.
You just come back to you? Are you good?
No, I'm good now. No, I'm good. Yeah, I think to challenge that the Cowboys aren't going to win this game at home seems kind of silly. But to kind of go back to the MVP conversation, I think it's the same debate that a lot of people make in the NBA, where it's like LeBron should win the MVP every year based off statistics. But then someone like last year with Jokic and Embiid, this is Jokic and Embiid kind of the scenario between Lamar and Dak. And Dak is Embiid in this scenario. And this is the best year he's ever had in his career. And you should give someone flowers when they step up to the plate in the trials and tribulations that they're around. So if he's going to earn an MVP, this is the year to do it.
I agree with that last part. I don't necessarily know how I feel about the it's the best year of his career so far. Let's go ahead and give him the MVP now. I get what you're saying. I don't know if I agree with that that being the mentality when we decide who the MVP is, because I am somebody who is was it 2016 when James Harden won the MVP and had no business doing so? It just pissed me off a lot. I think a lot of it was mostly because I am a LeBron stan, and I also hate James Harden.
Perfect. I just said that's how things work.
No, but again, not to you. I'm just the general consensus. The idea of he's had a really good year and he hasn't had this good of a year before, he should get the MVP. But more so, why Dak, not Lamar, for me is look at the percentage of touchdowns that they're responsible for to their team. and
Right.
Dak Prescott is infinitely more responsible. I think it's about 25% more responsible for touchdowns for the Dallas Cowboys than is Lamar Jackson for the Ravens.
Corey, you want a stat? He's thrown for 12 less touchdowns than the year he won the MVP.
It's it's I don't know. In such a crazy year where, like, to be fair, no one has necessarily shined at the quarterback position. Like, there's been a lot of, like, the usual suspects aren't there. Like, Mahomes isn't there. Obviously, Rodgers being hurt, he's not there. A lot of people had Burrow as a potential, MVP dark horse. Burrow obviously getting hurt, not being there. There's a lot of these guys that we thought could have been the MVP, and Dak has always kind of been at the background of that conversation. But this year, I don't think it's close in terms of who's played better at the quarterback position this season. It's Dak. For me, who is the MVP, who's been the most spectacular player in football all season long, it's Christian McCaffrey. This guy is absolute freak of nature. We have not seen a person play football like him in a long time. We probably won't see somebody play football like him in a long time. Just what he's able to do week in, week out. A lot of people thought, okay, he's at the tail end of his career because of all the injuries in Carolina. Reinvigorated when he gets to San Francisco and the Shanahan offense and the ability to utilize him. It's amazing. Amazing. Christian McCaffrey's my MVP.
That's interesting because we're not even talking about him. Like, yeah, I agree with that. But that's unfortunately just not what the award is. And I honestly think the NFL needs to just have more awards, like how they do in college. It's like, all right, let's do best
Biletnikoff and things like that.
Yeah, let's do that. Like the MVP shouldn't just be best quarterback because that's not what most valuable means. Although it oftentimes does.
It's what the Heisman has become as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but when you really think about it, most of our conversations that we have week in and week out, like, we talk about quarterback play being the most important thing, and it's one of 32 positions. It's the most important position on every football field. So
maybe the most important position in sports.
Yeah, and to say that don't get me wrong, Christian McCaffrey has a viable case for MVP, but if you're talking about MVP, you have to talk about the most important position on the field, and that should, in my opinion, always be a quarterback.
Yeah, the only time a non-quarterback wins is when somebody breaks some ridiculous record.
Like Adrian Peterson.
Right, exactly.
For 2,000 yards. That's like...
So
if Tyreek Hill would have broke the receiving record, he would have gotten the MVP.
The second McCaffrey didn't score that touchdown, keep that streak going, it's like, it's over. Sorry, dude.
So fucked up.
But it's true.
Yeah.
I can't say that you're wrong.
They're all narrative. I hate that the media votes. I don't want to be the Joe blame media because I'm not that guy. But it doesn't need to be somebody at the USA Today that decides who's the MVP.
Same with baseball. So
baseball.
Dude, Cooperstown's fucked. Don't get me in that conversation.
We're not gonna poke that bear today, Todd. Comments rolling in. I know Ariel had one a few minutes ago. Saying if Green Bay wins this game, Stephen A. Smith will go crazy. That would be the first thing that I would watch.
He said they had no chance.
On Twitter.
Said the Packers had no chance in this game.
Yeah, he is such a gigantic Cowboys fan that it would just be hilarious to watch.
No. Stephen A. Smith is not a Cowboys fan. He's an anti-Cowboys.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's pretty famously.
Skip Bayless is the Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it confused.
He trolls the Cowboys a lot. But I mean, let's just be honest. Cowboys can win a Super Bowl this year, guys.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely have. I mean, this is one of the best teams they have to do it. And
don't look now, but Tony Pollard is playing football again. Don't look now, but Tony Pollard is playing football.
Yeah. There should be no reason why Dallas doesn't win this game. But I said that
Playoffs.
week 4 and went without a shirt for most of the season. So things can happen.
If anyone's going to lose this game, though, it's Dallas. If any team is going to lose this game, it's not only just Dallas. It's Mike McCarthy at home in January. It's
All right,
against
so-
his former team.
It's so good.
So say they lose to Green Bay, is Mike McCarthy fired?
Yes,
Yeah,
Probably.
absolutely.
But Mike McCarthy finally has somebody like Aubrey to make the field goal decision so much easier when he's like, I don't know, we're 55 yards out. I was going to kick it anyway. He just makes them.
Yeah. Dude's a beast.
It's like a match made in heaven for that fucking layup machine.
It's a pretty sweet story.
yeah,
yeah, it is
absolutely.
cool. It is cool.
Ted's coming with some comments in regards to the MVP conversation. Saying, did Lamar have like 900 yards rushing and over 3,500 passing? If so, it's definitely deserving of an MVP.
Yeah, but his MVP year, he had like 1,300 on the ground and 3,300 in the air.
Yeah.
That's how that
That's
falls.
why he
in.
won MVP.
If we're rounding, Tez, it's 800. So it's 821 for the record. But I'm not saying Lamar didn't have a fine season, but like when you win the MVP,
Touchdown.
that sure, touchdowns absolutely, but I also now view like I have seen so much better Lamar Jackson. I don't think he deserves the award because he's the last man standing. That's my whole point. I've seen him play so much better football than this.
To be fair, they rolled through a pretty tough strength of schedule in the back half of the season, and they just absolutely embarrassed San Francisco. And I think that was really the game that put him like in the lead and kept him in the lead for the MVP race, just because of the way that they absolutely fucking destroyed them.
They've embarrassed a lot of good teams actually this season.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why he's leading MVP, because you see Dak, like, that's a big thing they talk about in college too, like bad losses. Dallas had some bad losses this year. Yes, they finished with a great record, but they had some really, really terrible games and lost to some bad football teams.
Yeah, but Dak Prescott didn't give up 135 yards to James Conner. Like, that didn't happen.
Right.
So let me frame it this way then. So I have gotten a lot of shit for saying I think Myles Garrett should be the defensive player of the year. I think he's like right up there odds wise, but everyone will keep throwing stats out, right? So if Lamar Jackson's the MVP, then Myles Garrett is the defensive player of the year, because if it's just best guy on best unit, offense, defense, fine. But we have an award for that. It's called the Super Bowl. The best player on the best team shouldn't just automatically win the MVP. I just think when it's the same, and it's the same reason I hate, and I'm not going to get into it too, but like the Baseball Hall of Fame, I want to look back at the stats 7 years from now and be like, who won the MVP? I'm not going to remember this as the Lamar Jackson season. I'm just not. Like that's not how this. Don't get me wrong. The Ravens are phenomenal, and they're being rewarded for that. There's Pro Bowlers.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson deserves to be an All-Pro.
Yep.
Absolutely, 100%. But though I like hold these awards in such high regard because they are little time capsules.
Well, and they impact the ability to get to Canton.
That too.
They do. They really do.
That's fair.
Like,
so not to get too heated on the
that
award,
point though, Aaron. Like if we said, "Oh, Lamar won the MVP that year," I think that's where the conversation would go. Oh yeah, that's the year Dak went off. Like that is what we would say.
The year Dak should have won.
Like that's the year. Or no, I'm saying like if Dak wins the MVP, we'd be like, oh yeah, dude. We like 10 years from now, we look back. Oh yeah, that's right. That's the year Dak went off, and like CD like popped off as like one of the top receivers in the league. Like that's the conversation that would go around looking back to that time capsule, like Aaron called it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tez, one last comment before we move on. Don't dismiss that Lamar is doing this with less talent on the offensive side than Dak.
Everybody's banged up, man. I'm not taking the injury excuse for anybody. And from a talent perspective, maybe I don't like. Is there really that much of a difference?
Zay, we don't know what Zay is.
We're talking about we're talking about CeeDee Lamb, right? That's it. Offensively,
that's really the big piece that like you could definitely argue that Baltimore doesn't. I mean, really
Michael Gallup's had a case of the dropsies for 3 years. It took Tony Pollard 14 weeks to start running the ball.
Good.
Well, I'm not saying that he's not bad, but if you're picking one over the other, you're taking CeeDee Lamb in that argument 10 days.
Yeah, MVPs have never had a really good number one option. That's never happened before. It's
All right, let's move on. Tez, this is a game that I'm pretty sure you'll be watching. We got the Rams taking things to Detroit. Matt Stafford coming home, take on the Lions.
Another storyline.
Dude.
Man, script writers got to write this year.
Dude, I'm just glad the Super Bowl is in New Orleans and Joe and Jamar can go home next year. That's gonna be fun. Another script.
Another script. Yeah, they probably already got it written. But all right, Rams, Lions. Todd, lead us off. Who you got?
Boys, Ford Field's going to be a rocket.
Cousin.
I mean, I've said it on here before. I work with a Lions fan. He's going to the game. He will be in attendance for the playoff game. And I just asked him. I said, I told him, like, I'm doing the podcast. Give me 3 recipes for success for the Lions. He said, don't give Matt Stafford an extra half second, because we've seen what Matt Stafford does with the ball in his hands for just another half second. Mm-hmm. So he equated that to just applying a ton of pressure, forcing him out of the pocket and into scenarios where the play gets a little bit broken up. Spot number 2 is being able to effectively run the ball on the first few drives to set up the pass game for Jared Goff. And then his last piece was just that the Detroit secondary doesn't have to stop LA. It just has to slow them down. And to kind of piggyback on that is, we talked about the Lions all year. They started off extremely hot. Defense was red hot. And then we watched this defense give up more and more big plays, tons of big chunk plays, big yards. And even against the Vikings last week, when you look at the second half of that game into the fourth quarter, back-to-back bombs for touchdowns that put Minnesota right back into the game. They were down by 7 before Nick Mullins threw 2 interceptions. Mm-hmm. So it's not about stopping Matt Stafford. It's not about, eliminating Cooper Kupp. It's just about keeping the bleeding maintained. That's kind of the recipe for success for Detroit here. And I think his point about being able to run the ball effectively is really – that's best case scenario for them. If you can figure out a way to take your first 2 drives and make those drives be about 12 and a half minutes between the 2, and it results in 10 points, you're kind of in the driver's seat in that scenario. So I'm taking the Lions here. I understand that history is against me in saying that, but it feels like the stars have kind of aligned to the Lions getting a home playoff win for the new generation of Lions fans and for the old as well.
Tez, that is awesome. He says, FYI, I will be in Vegas Super Bowl weekend during media week. I have a cousin who has media clearance because of his show, and he's getting me in as part of his crew. That's dope. Have fun. Take lots of pictures.
Tez, I'm going to be in Vegas that weekend. Hit me up. My wife's company is is flying them out for it's like their Christmas party. It's way after the fact, but it's like
way better.
It's like their yearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she has to go to meetings and shit, and I'm just there.
Oh no.
Wow, you guys need to link up for sure. That would be dope.
That's cool.
All right, Aaron, who you got?
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Lions. This is such a great story for them. I'm super something I have been begging the gods for is a home playoff game in Cleveland. And I'm super happy for, our brethren in Detroit who are going to get this. And I hope it goes really, really well. The Rams are 7-1 in their last 8. They're probably they're like kind of what we were talking about with the Bills on the AFC side, where it's, boy, I thought they were fucking cooked weeks ago, and they've lost 1 game since November 5th.
Yeah, they're in fuego.
And a lot of those are really close to teams that aren't necessarily very good. My worry in this game, and I think the Rams can win in any other way, but something that tips the scales for me is the crowd, the home field advantage for the Lions is going to be awesome if they start 14-0. It's going to get a little tight. It's going to get a little tight in that building the second there's any type of adversity, because they're just not used to this. Everyone's going to be so excited at pregame. And what if the Rams return a kickoff for a touchdown? The fan, you'll hear a pin drop. And I'm not obviously predicting there's going to be a kickoff return for a touchdown, but I'm just saying any adverse play early in this game, and that crowd is going to be sucked right out of it. I'm taking the Rams in this game, not just because they're hot, but they've been playing the better football, surprisingly.
Corey.
So the Lions are my adopted team for this playoff. Obviously, my wife being from Detroit, I live in Detroit-ish. Go Lions. I am rooting for the Lions, putting that out
Or just
there.
do what I did.
Sam Laporta's not playing, boys.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Sam Laporta is responsible
sucks.
He's responsible for 30% of their first downs. The Lions are a neutral site pick 'em against the Rams right now. It's a -3 home spread. They're a neutral site, half-point favorite right now against the Rams, are the Lions. It worries me a lot. It concerns me a lot. It really does. Because of a lot of the things that Aaron just mentioned in terms of we know what Stafford can do, like Todd said, but we know that the Rams have been playing some really good football. Here's the thing. The Lions are good on defense too. Like the Lions have the ability to get to the quarterback. We know what they can do over there on that side of the football. They've gotten stronger in the defensive secondary side over the last couple of weeks. Gotten healthier there. Gotten some people that have come back and they're starting to play a little bit better now in terms of their secondary play. So that's some good news. And again, yeah, I think the huge keys are going to be, what is the production out of Jahmyr Gibbs? What is the production out of David Montgomery? Do guys like Jameson Williams step things up, kind of take things off the top with JMO so that Amon-Ra St. Brown can kind of come over and be that over the middle guy that you were getting out of a Sam Laporta? Because I don't think you're getting it out of the tight end room anymore. So it's going to be crazy. But here's a couple of things going on in Detroit right now. A couple of interesting storylines. Obviously, Stafford coming home. This is the first time Stafford's come back. He's gotten the Super Bowl. Goff going against his old team. Let's not forget about that. Kelly Stafford, wife of Matthew Stafford, reached out to the Fords and asked them if they could get a suite for the game. The Fords came back and said, sorry, they're all sold out. I don't know what to tell you. Gen Pop for you, Kelly Stafford. That is exactly the mentality that every single Detroit fan needs to have going into this game. Fuck Matt Stafford. He's not one of you anymore. He doesn't give a fuck about you anymore. I don't care about any goddamn AT&T commercials where he's like, it was really great for 12 years, but I've moved up. Fuck you, Matt Stafford. Fuck you. He's the enemy. He is the enemy. No, thank you, Matthew, for all the good year. Fuck him. He left you. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't like you. You're not his favorite. He chose his favorite. That's Los Angeles. That's okay for Matt Stafford, but do not patronize him. Don't thank him. No, he is a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. I'm sorry. Just call a spade here, Detroit. You don't like him. He's the enemy. Go after him. Ticket prices in Detroit 3 times higher than any other wild card game right now. It is going to be absolutely fucking jumping in Ford Field. These fans have waited literally 30 years for this. And Aaron, I don't think it's going to be one thing kind of takes him down. We're talking about Motor City. We're talking about one of the toughest fucking towns in the United fucking States. It's Detroit, and the Lions are going to take care of fucking business. They're going to battle through. This is going to be the best game of the weekend, no doubt in my mind. So much fun. Probably somewhere around 63 points are going to be scored. This is going to be so much fun to watch. Give me the Lions. Give me the Lions with Jared Goff taking a kneel. It's going to be so poetic, so beautiful. Dan Campbell is going to be fucking doing all that shit. It's going to be a lot of fun. Got a lot of fun. Forward down the field. Give me the Lions.
I have no other comments outside of the fact that I want the Lions to win this game, and I want to speak it into existence. I'm taking the Lions.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, I'm taking the Rams.
No. No. I listen, man. Like Dan Campbell's the kind of guy that you would run through a wall for. Like if you played for him, you would do whatever you could to make sure that man like got his flowers at the end of the day. And this would be absolutely monumental. Absolutely monumental if the Lions can pull this one out. And that's the mentality you have to have. Corey hit the nail on the head with that. As much as you love him, you got to hate him for at least 4 quarters of football. Whatever happens after that,
I don't get the love. Like I'd be like, fuck you, Matt. Like that's what I'm in, like I don't fuck him.
I don't remember him. Like, did he request a trade out of Detroit?
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So here's I'm with you, Corey. Like, yeah, on Sunday, fuck him. Absolutely. I have no problem with Lions fans that have liked him before and maybe root for him after if they lose. Well, if they whatever. I get
like the Lions fans that rooted for the Rams in the Super Bowl was like the saddest thing I've ever fucking seen.
I'd rather show up in a blue t-shirt than my old Stafford jersey if that's the only Lions jersey I owned going to the stadium. That's my point. I agree with that 1,000,000 times.
There are fans doing Stafford jersey trade-ins at the game as well. You can bring your staff, like they're boycotting. Like, do not wear your Stafford jersey to the stadium. We will give you another jersey when you get here. Bring your old Stafford jersey, donate it, and we'll give you another jersey.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that's the right thing to do.
It is. It is the right thing to do. Like
that's awesome. All right, who are you trading for? Which jersey you getting if you're a Lions
If I
fan?
could pick, I'd want Laporta, but like, I mean, he's not playing, but like long term, that one,
yeah.
Or Gibbs, or Amon-Ra, the Sun God, yeah, dude.
I would say Gibbs or Laporta.
So
no Hutch from the panel here. That's that's the Michigan kid in there.
He's a Michigan boy, silver spoon. Nah, I'm good.
No, sorry. I'm just asking. I don't know. I don't have skin in the game either. But
yeah,
I'm going with the guy who knows every receiver that got drafted ahead of him. All right.
Yeah, dude. Oh. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. So, real quick on, I think like this year for me has solidified my belief in like being able to identify, or at least pull the trigger on when I can say, yep, good coach, right? And I think the telltale sign for me is like when shit hits the fan. How does the coach handle things when things are going bad? How does the team respond when things are going bad? So, for instance, Kevin Stefanski, really good football coach. I think that's evident by the way his team is. Dan Campbell, really good football coach. I think that's evident from the turnaround that this franchise has seen, not just this season, but obviously the back half of last season as well. I think Zach Taylor goes into that category. Really good football coach.
Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
Really, really, really bad.
Honestly, probably a piece of shit human. But Sean Payton, probably also in that category about really good football coach. Probably not good person, really good football coach. Sean McVay as well. Really good football coach.
Absolutely.
Guys like Sirianni. Not sure. I'm not sure about Sirianni yet. Guys like Mike McDaniel. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Are they cool? Are they fun? No question. Would they be fun to play for? That's not the question, though. Good football coach? Not sure. Like, I'm just saying, like, don't be shocked. Mike McDaniel's an offensive coordinator in 5 years.
I think it's a good qualifier because, I mean, basically, what you're like between Sirianni and McDaniel, shit is hitting the fan now.
And things aren't
going everywhere.
Yeah, and they're just falling hard.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a completely fair barometer. And I agree with that entirely.
These are guys that we were heralding as top of the class after last season. I'm just just putting that out into the universe.
Absolutely.
Go Lions. Go Lions.
Go Lions, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a pick 'em.
All right. Well, speaking of your questions about Sirianni, it's the last game of the week.
Yeah.
Got the Eagles taking things down to Tampa Bay. I don't think this is going to be as much of a snoozer as everybody thinks.
I think it's going to be a great football game.
I think this is going to be fucking awesome.
I'm glad
I
this
think
one's
it's going to be
on
fucking
Monday.
awesome.
I'm glad this one's on Monday because, like, I'm going to watch it because I'm
definitely
what else am I
watching
gonna
this
do?
game.
Sure.
I
Like
want to
Sunday
see
night-
Baker Mayfield
Sunday night,
just
I'd be
fucking
like,
slice and dice the fucking Philadelphia Eagles.
Dude, I want Baker to win so bad, dude. I want him to win so bad.
If he
Oh,
wins,
man.
he would have a good argument for comeback player of the year.
Well, unfortunately, that's not really a part of it. Votes are already in, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
well,
Like
I'm
they
just
do
saying.
it before the post.
He had a great season. I think he has just as much a right to sit there as a comeback player of the year as Joe Flacco does. Considering
It's a
Again,
what
again.
he's accomplished.
I do not care. You award it to whoever.
But that being said, I do want to ask you a question, Aaron. What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield? Do you think that it was just a system issue in Cleveland? Did they just not like Baker? You know, because the guy can obviously play.
guys. Baker's fine. He's fine. He's been fine. If the Bengals were in the NFC South, they'd have won it. They have the same record as the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, that division was dog shit all year. And yeah, the Buccaneers won, and Baker is gonna play professional football, barring injury, for the next 8 years. No doubt about it. Like, and that's fine. Yeah, he's been injured the last 2 years, and he's looked better this year. But let's not throw lipstick on a pig here for the NFC South. They just were the worst team, but none of those teams deserve to be in this position at all.
Yeah. I mean, they won convincingly on Sunday. I will give it to them.
To the Panthers?
Did they play the? Oh no, I'm sorry. I was looking at the.
They barely won.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the Saints game. Sorry, the Saints blew out the Falcons. My bad.
He has looked very good coming down the stretch, but he looks banged up now again.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna be rooting really hard for the Buccaneers because I just think it would be so funny if the fucking Eagles lost. Because all of us, myself included, were like in the beginning of November, we're sitting there like, who's beating them? They were so good. They were so good. And now they're just really not.
After that game against the 49ers, they have just fallen apart.
I was going to say 5 weeks ago, we would have been looking like Nostradamus, though.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
It's reverse how I feel about the Bills, how we felt at the
it
beginning of the year.
is. It is. I think the Eagles squeak this one out, though. I think they squeak it out.
Tez asking the question, what's the news on A.J. Brown? Is A.J. Brown going to play?
Not sure.
Jalen Hurts, I know he had a pretty gnarly finger injury.
Hurts?
Yeah.
Hurt. I mean, he's going to play, I'm sure. But.
I mean, he's going to play, but that thing looked nasty. I don't know if y'all saw it, but
that bad boy was facing north and he was facing west. It was pretty sick. Been there. I don't know if you boys have ever dislocated a finger like that before, but that is a very uncomfortable feeling when you take a gainer down at one of your digits and it's not looking back at you. That's a real uncomfortable feeling.
Just looking like a 15-year offensive line vet.
Yeah. Look at Anthony. If you guys have ever seen Anthony Munoz's hands, he just is acclimated to it. But the one time I did, he
take my strong hand.
Yeah, it's scary.
Looks like he's about ready to stir up some mashed potatoes. You know.
Yeah.
It's good.
Oh my
good
God.
reference. That's why they put Booger in the Booger mobile because they're like, no one wants to see that shit, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Put some mittens on Booger.
All right, who we got? Aaron.
This to me is the biggest coin flip for all the wrong reasons.
Do tell.
Dude, the Eagles are playing the worst football of any team entering the playoffs, you could argue.
Yeah. Giants put up a 24 piece on them before they even scored.
Yeah, the last
and they had starters out there.
I love that the last week is all divisional games because you can kind of just manufacture this, like the Titans beating the Jaguars, the Giants beating the Eagles,
shit out of them.
The Cardinals making it close against the Seahawks, because all these teams are like, fuck you. I don't I do not, even when there's nothing to play for, you just get these fuck you games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Eagles got this last week. And frankly, Corey, we were all on this team at the beginning of the year, and I think rightfully so. They were right there at the end. They were bringing everybody back, and it appeared that they drafted very well. How did they just take everybody from Georgia? And we were all like, dude, did you see them against TCU? It was pretty good. Like, that's us being stupid, I think, a little bit as well. I'm taking the Eagles, but man, they're bad. And maybe they can just turn it around again, just like how we were talking. Maybe
I think if they play the Packers, they lose.
Yeah,
I agree. If they were playing any other team in this round, I think I would take them over the Eagles. But I could also see the Eagles getting like a fibrillator to the heart if they just come out and play really well. And then it's like, fuck, I don't want to play the Eagles.
Like, remember how Jalen Hurts just doesn't lose most football games?
Right.
Yeah. It's not in his blood.
So we'll see how Brown looks, and that'll be a big factor as well.
Todd.
So to answer your question, AJ Brown had it's a knee injury. It's an undisclosed knee injury. That's what they're labeling it as. But yeah, it is weird to think about talking about this game and saying like, oh, it's kind of a coin flip, because I don't think it's super far off to think that like if there's 2 minutes left on the clock, Baker gets the ball back, and all of a sudden, they're down on the 10-yard line with 8 seconds left, about to kick a game-winning field goal. It's not a far-fetched thing to believe.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't believe Raymond James is the destination to, completely shift the paradigm of a football game. But this is the third year in a row that the Bucs have won the AFC South, fellas.
Yeah.
And I think there is a little bit something to that in this game. I think that this is, I don't know if I want to call it a winning culture necessarily, because they made the playoffs at 8-9 last year. But if you guys watch that post game where Todd Bowles was in the locker room after they beat the Panthers, he said, we shouldn't be surprised. This is the culture of this organization now. We're a winning team. And I think that that's kind of the swag that they roll into with this game, right? And Baker's serviceable. He's had a good year. We can, throw a perfect passer rating game mixed in there. But if Baker is anything, is he's good enough at managing the clock and making sure that the ball's in his hand when it needs to be in his hands. And boys, the Eagles they're averaging like 2.5 turnovers over the last 5 weeks. And
this is the defense that made your darling Jordan Love look like dog shit.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. I'm taking the Bucs. I think it's going to happen.
Oh, Dottie!
I think it's going to happen.
So I said, like, a coin flip to me, like, line these guys up 10 games. I think the Bucs win at least 4. And I know that's not the definition of a coin flip, but when you're looking at a game like this, it's very easy to just be like, pencil the Eagles in.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that simple.
No, and the thing that I think a big piece of the recipe for Philadelphia at the first half of the year was them being able to run the ball really efficiently. And they haven't ran the ball that well in the second half. And I think that offense is designated on Jalen Hurts being able to make big play action plays. And they haven't been able to do that in the second half, and it shows. And when they get down in games, they don't. Okay, when they played Seattle, or I'm sorry, when they played, I can't remember who they lost to, and Jalen Hurts had the ball with like a minute and a half left, and they're down by 2 or 3. I'm like, this dude will get them down the field in 45 seconds, and then they just have a turnover. And so it triggered me to go back and look at like what his kind of stat line is in the 2-minute drill in the NFL. It's not good. He has 1 game-winning drive since he's been in the league, and obviously that's a short time frame, but I don't know. It's just weird to think that we were talking about this guy being an MVP, and now I'm not even certain that he can beat the Bucs in the first round of the playoffs. It all feels something's funky. There's weird things going on in Philly.
Weird stat. Last time the Eagles won a road game, November 20th.
So you're talking about we're 6 weeks into it since they've won a road game, 7 weeks.
The Eagles have not won a road game. Here's the last road games. Obviously, last week losing to the Giants 10-27. Eagles were on the road in Seattle, lost 17-20. They were on the road in Dallas, got blown out 13-33. Prior to that, they were on the road in Kansas City, and that's when they won 21-17, 11-20. They lost
On
on the road
11-20.
On 11-20.
on 11-20. My bad. Sorry, I'm trying to read multiple things here. 21-17
Does sound like a
on
Chiefs
11-20.
score though.
Yeah, right. Other road wins. They won on the road against Washington, 38-31. They lost on the road against the Jets. They won on the road against the Rams. They beat the Bucks earlier this year, 25-11 in the third game of the season, and beat the Patriots first game of the year, 25.
Yeah, that was like 25-20. Yeah.
You know, and that was really even before Rashad White got cooking. You know, and that's
Yeah.
really one of the
Good
big
point,
things that
yeah.
I'm looking at in this game. The Eagles allow on the season they allow 4.3 yards per rush.
Do you know how? And I'll just throw this out too. Do you guys know how many sacks Tristan Wirfs has given up this year?
Is it 0?
It's 1, and it just happened 3 weeks ago. It was the first sack that he had given up since week 4 of his rookie year, or week 5 of his rookie year.
I said it coming into the season that I think that the Buccaneers offense suits Baker well, and that he is very good at distributing the ball around.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that can catch the football, and there are a lot of people that can move the football, and I think that really suits Baker well, and I think that's been a little bit of their success. And let's not sugarcoat things. Like the Bucs haven't been blowing people out; they've lost plenty of football games too, but there's a reason this is only a 3-point spread. This isn't.
Yeah, the Rashad White point is valid though, because you look at the first half of the year for him, he was slow moving. I think him and Tony Pollard kind of fell victim to the same thing, where it was a tandem backfield where you had somebody to alleviate some of the pressure, so they were able to kind of be the bang boom running back, and then they got the brunt of the carries, and there wasn't somebody to support that system, and they had to struggle their way until they got comfortable in it. So I think Rashad White is just that. You're lucky that you found him where you found him. And again, the Eagles defense, which is crazy, I'm going to say this, it stinks. It's not good. It has not been good in the second half of the season. So if you're going to play someone, I mean, Baker's got the game experience too. It could happen.
Yeah. Corey, who did you have?
I got the Eagles.
Yeah. Got the Eagles. Okay.
Rooting for Baker though.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be an upset this week, and this is where it's going to happen, boys.
Taking the Bucs too. Wow.
These are also the 2 guys that took the Cardinals last week, fellas. I don't know if you knew that.
Hey, man, that was a close game. I didn't hate it.
No, there were so many games that I lost in the last 2 weeks that were decided by less than 3 points, and it was just devastating. But it is what it is.
It's the NFL, baby.
It is what it is, baby. All right, you gentlemen have anything else you'd like to touch on?
I'm just jacked up for some playoff football, man.
Yeah, enjoy it.
We got a pretty good first week here. It should be pretty exciting.
Stressing a little bit, but we're good.
Yeah. No, it's dude, that game on Saturday is going to be something else. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
I'll be a nervous wreck the whole time.
Oh,
sure.
At least get it out of the way, though.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. You get the first game, the rest of the weekend, you either get to get drunk and be sad, or get drunk and be happy. Either way, you're gonna be drunk. It's fine.
Same thing happened for me against the Raiders the first year when the Bengals won their first playoff.
It's exactly what I said to Mary today. I was like, "Do you remember that? Just sitting there, and Bobby was watching the game with us when that was going on."
I cried.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
I believe a drunk phone call was exchanged between you and I after that game, Corey.
We fucking did it,
dude. Yeah. If the Browns lose, my recap ability for next week will be subpar. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I got pissed off.
I didn't watch any football the rest of the weekend.
And I don't think anybody
here
would be upset. Yeah, and nobody here would be upset with you if you just go, you know what, I just took a break. I get it.
I have no idea. Just flying by the seat of my pants here.
Probably picked up.
All right, chat. Well, that's a podcast. Ariel, you enjoy the game. He will be at the Bucs game.
Nice.
Yeah, enjoy
awesome.
it, bud.
Enjoy it, brother.
Have fun, dude. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the wild card round of NFL football. We will be back with you guys next week to go over the divisional matchups. Polar Nights, thanks for swinging through. We're actually ready to hop off. We will see everybody next week. Until
dude.
then, catch you later. Peace.